He ain't moving.
Today I'm going for a ride with my dad again. We're going to explore a section of the Arizona Trail. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Arizona Trail, I'll explain. The Arizona Trail is a trail that spans Arizona from the northern border with Utah down to the southern border with Mexico. The trail is broken up into increments that can be hiked in one day, and at the end of each increment is usually a parking lot area or a campground where hikers can pitch tents and pick up new supplies. The trail goes through several cities, including Flagstaff, and because of this, locals take full advantage of having prime trails in the area. The Arizona Trail links into the Foots Trail system as it continues up through the middle of the city. The segment of the Arizona Trail that we are going to explore today is called Anderson Mesa. It is east and slightly south of Flagstaff, and there is parking near the trailhead. My dad and I have never been here before.
All right, we're right over here.
We finally found the sign for the Arizona Trail and started off climbing. We got off to a bit of a rocky start, and when I say rocky, I mean that literally. The trail climbs quickly up onto Anderson Mesa, and this climb is technical and riddled with rocks. We cleaned the first section with ease, but then we got to a gate that we had to go through, and after that the trail got a lot more technical. We had to stop several times to negotiate some of the features, but it was still pretty fun. We finally cleared this climb and set out onto the trail on top of the mesa. The land at the top is flat, and when I say flat, I mean flat. It would probably put any segment of trail in Florida to shame. Both my dad and I commented on this fact when we paused for a quick water break. It did make keeping a fast pace not too difficult, which I liked. The single track continued for a few miles. It was periodically broken up by crazy rock gardens that had our teeth rattling in our skulls. I was surprised that I didn't slash a sidewall on the rocks because I was getting pretty lazy with my line choices. The rocks would spring up when you least expected it and often line the sides of turns in the trail. On one of these rock gardens, I caught my tire on a stray rock and fell over. I got lucky and only had a small scratch on my arm. On the night before the ride, like I always do, I looked at the map of the trail and I noticed that the trail would take us almost to the edge of the mesa. Because of this, I was hoping for a spectacular view, and I was definitely not disappointed. The view that we reached looked out over the massive pine forest that stretched like a green carpet to the horizon. This view shows the range of the pine forest in northern Arizona. All we can see is pine trees to the mountains in the distance. We also saw some really cool plants along the way and at this viewpoint. After stopping for some cool pictures and some beautiful views, we rode on. The land up on the mesa is all ranch land, so we had to go through quite a few gates that were dividing into individual grazing areas. The Arizona Trail turned into rocky double track after about 4 miles. It was, at one point, a service road to allow owners to keep an eye on their properties, but this road obviously hadn't seen any motorized traffic for a very long time. Not that we're heading anywhere close to either of these places, but it's still pretty cool to see. After about 2 miles on the double track, we got to a small lake that was surrounded by a fence again. If this fence was there to keep elk and deer out, it was failing miserably. I saw quite a few tracks from elk and a few piles of droppings inside the fence as we rode on. We followed the trail to a fork and stopped there for a quick snack break. Alright, so we're at a turnaround point right now. We've gone about 6.4 miles, and according to my dad's phone, we've gained 13 feet. That's only our net elevation change. The trail was still going up and down quite a bit more than that, but it was still pretty flat. One part of the trail that I was not filming on the ride out was this cool little tree tunnel. It was made up of a lot of big juniper trees that shaded the trail and gave it a tunnel feeling. One thing that never fails to surprise me out here is that we're only about 200 feet above where Flagstaff is located. We're about 7,100, Flagstaff is at about 69, and the environment has changed completely. Now it's like junipers and not too many pine trees around. There's virtually no really low bushes like there are in Flagstaff. All right, we're back on the single track now. How you doing? Woo! Great ride. On the way back to the trailhead, we stopped a section of trail right after the point where the view out over the forest in Lake Mary is. It is a technical climb that is short but punchy. It starts with a sharp corner and then goes up around some rock slabs, and then it ends with an uphill rock garden. The first sharp turn was tripping me up for the first few tries, but after I figured out that going over the rocks and avoiding the turn was a better line, it only took me a few more tries to clean the climb. This is the same climb shot from my GoPro chest mount. After that, we rode back to the descent back down the road. This was a lot more fun to go down than it was to climb. Overall, this was a super fun trail to explore, and I look forward to exploring more Arizona Trail segments in future videos. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.